Hello, Oracles. So I took some time to take a look back at what the gaps are for Tesla, both up and down. So if I did miss any, please let me know. I didn't go back more than 1 year, but we know that there is a gap down to 489. So other than that one, there are only four, my lucky number, four gaps that are going back, and they only go back to last November. So the first one we have that goes back to November 5th is right before Elon decided that he was going to announce his sales on Twitter over the weekend, going into my birthday, which was November 8th. Way to wake up for my birthday on that one. Thanks, Elon. But that gap is 1222 to 1208. Now this gap here, I do not think that we are going to fill in the near term. I think obviously we are going to make new all-time highs. We'll fill it at that point. Whether we fill that before the split or not, I do not know. And we should be getting the proxy within a few weeks, just so we can get information as far as maybe an idea of what their intended share ratio is going to be or the timing of the split. We also have the annual meeting on August 4th, where we get to vote on the issuance of more shares to allow for this split. But I do have a feeling, based upon the charts that I'm seeing, that we will go up, come back down, and make a new lower low before we make new all-time highs. This is just what I have seen in the charts, in my opinion, but this is what I'm seeing, but we will eventually fill that gap on the way back up. The next gap that we have was made on May 6th. That goes 865 to 845. Now this one here, I'm kind of torn in between. This one we might, if we do get a rally that goes between now and the next CPI data on June 10th, we might actually fill that gap before we come back down again. This is kind of my interim one. The next gap I'm going to mention, I do believe that we are going to fill. But the 865 gap is a potential. I think if we get good enough news between now and then, and we don't have too much macro turmoil going on, that 865 gap could be the top of this next little bump up in our dead cat bounce before we come back down again. The next gap that we have is May 10th. That's $800 to $795. Judging by the way we pushed up on Friday, I have a feeling we are going to fill that gap this week. So, seeing as we don't have a lot of macro environment stuff going on, as I said, there's probably a good chance we'll fill that gap this week and then move up towards that 865 gap. The last gap that we have is the gap up that we had. That's what we had on Friday, and that is down to 728. Now, Slim had made a comment earlier today about the fact that some analysts out there are saying that quantitative tightening and the beginning, which is coming at the beginning of June, is going to be the bottom of the market for the year. So based on the charts that I had been discussing about the dead cat bounce and making a new lower low, there is a good chance that we may fill these two gaps coming up to 865, pull back down, make a new lower low as quantitative tightening begins, and then we will turn around and have a slow climb coming back up. And it's not going to be a smooth climb by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's going to be a climb similar to the fall that we had, almost like a reverse dead cat bounce. Probably see some good fast climbs and then some sharp fall-offs and then climbs, but it'll be more ups than downs. It'll be very difficult to tell along the way, so it won't be a very clear near-term signal to say, hey, this was the bottom to buy. So it took a long stretch for us to see this full dead cat bounce happening, and it'll probably be the same in reverse. So, it's a matter of making a higher low. So if we're going to be making a new lower low in June, it may take a month or two before we see that higher low come around, which means that, you've got to just kind of weigh your options and see what you want to do to invest if we are going to come out. But that also means that we should have plenty of time and some more little dips along the way to add. And I still don't think we get to a smooth bull type run rally until the Fed stops raising interest rates. So if June ends up being the bottom of the market for the year and we start to slowly climb out of this in a roller coaster ride fashion as we got into it, I think it will take until interest rates stop going up, inflation is in line, for us to actually go back to what we considered a normal bull market prior to COVID, where we see a slow, gradual climb in all of the stocks again, where, when we get to PE ratio compression, that can go away. growth stocks can start to run off a little bit with higher PE ratios and a better kind of sense for the future because we are in such a negative atmosphere right now. I think it will take for the end of interest rates going up and inflation to come in line before that full negative blanket goes away and we can finally flourish again. And judging by the way we have been filling gaps over the last 6 to 8 months, I think these are very good areas and places to look for buying and or selling if you are a trader. Obviously, if you are an investor long term, could be opportunities to buy in as we fill some gaps and then come back down to fill the gaps at the bottom. Just my thoughts and takeaways on this. Do with this information as you will, as best for your own portfolio. And as always, I am not a financial advisor, so make sure you do your own due diligence and research before you make any decisions with your own portfolio. And to follow up on some information on the semi-truck that I had mentioned yesterday, the semi-truck looks like there's going to be 2 different versions. There's going to be a 300-mile range version for $150,000 and a 500-mile range version for $180,000. Currently, there is no news on production, but you can order one just in case any of you want to. But they are available for order only in the US, but production hasn't started. So no other information on that, but this is what we're looking at is 2 different versions. This seat is still going to be in the center of the cab, just as they had shown during the prototype. And other than that, once we get more information, I will share that with you as well. Now, it has been a little while since we've gotten some big official news coming out of Tesla. So I think we are due. I know Ross Gerber a while back had mentioned how he's expecting some official formal announcements about new factories coming up from Tesla. Again, beginning of June, we should be getting the proxy with maybe more split information. So I think we are due for some very big news. It's just a matter of waiting. And for those of you who have been long-term investors in Tesla, you know that patience pays off, and we will just wait and see what Tesla has to offer. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think we are going to hit a bottom when we finish quantitative easing at the beginning of June? Or do you think we are going to go lower at that point? And if we do hit the bottom there, where do you think the bottom is? Do you think it could be $600 in Tesla, or do you think it could be lower? Now, I have been updating my Patreon a little bit. Again, there's not a ton of information over there. I don't have a lot of time to spend on that and dedicate to it, but there's some things I can share with you guys over there if you want to see them. I am sharing currently my price targets for Tesla through 2032. I share my entire portfolio so you can see what my investments are. I am sharing my income and how I disperse that income into my investments. And I am going to be cleaning up my valuation model to put that on there also. So if you guys want to, you could jump over to Patreon. That's down in the description. You can click that link there and see what I have to offer. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.